everyone. It's 4 o'clock in New York. President Joe Biden today out with a clarion call for all Americans to reject the racist ideology that has time and time again led to deadly and devastating violence in communities all across the United States. After meeting with the families of the victims of the mass shooting in Buffalo that took place 4 days ago and visiting a memorial near the site of the shooting, President Biden gave a speech in which he commemorated each of the 10 victims. And then he said this.
White supremacy is a poison. It's a poison running through it really is. Running through our body politic. And it's been allowed to fester and grow right in front of our eyes. No more. I mean, no more. We need to say as clearly and forcefully as we can that the ideology of white supremacy has no place in America. None. And look, failure for us to not say that, failure in saying that, is going to be complicity. Silence is complicity. It's complicity. We cannot remain silent. I call on all Americans to reject the lie. And I condemn those who spread the lie for power, political gain, and for profit.
President Joe Biden's clear-eyed denunciation there of white supremacy as a poison marks a return to an issue that animated and inspired his run for the presidency, what he described at the time as a battle for the soul of America. But now, the New York Times reports, quote, the challenge for a president who came to office preaching unity may be how to take on those preaching hate. And in the wake of the mass shooting in Buffalo, inspired by the racist Great Replacement Theory conspiracy, the political party and the movement that has wielded the racist theory as a political tool shows no signs of remorse or retrospection today. NBC News caught up with several Republican senators to ask them about replacement theory and its chief cheerleader, Tucker Carlson. Senator Thom Tillis claims that, quote, I've never had any fellow Republican bring up or even allude to its merit. Referring to replacement theory, Senator Lindsey Graham claimed that replacement theory is, quote, more liberals talking about Republicans. And Senator Ron Johnson doubled down, saying he has no concerns about his comments back in April 2021 when he said on Fox News that Democrats are trying to, quote, remake the demographics of America. And from Fox News, nothing short of flagrant disinformation in service of obscuring Fox's own role in making replacement theory a mainstream rundown item. Take a listen to what two of Fox's most watched hosts had to say last night.
Yet even when Buffalo authorities confirmed that the Buffalo killer was a lone wolf, the gonzo journalists at Rolling Stone say, no, 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 no. There are accomplices here. The Republicans. It's so weak. I don't even want to talk about it tonight because it's so predictable. It's so lame because the real accomplices are in the media.
What he wrote does not add up to a manifesto. It is not a blueprint for a new extremist political movement, much less the potential inspiration for a racist revolution. Anyone who claims that it is lying or hasn't read it. So because a mentally ill teenager murdered strangers, you cannot be allowed to express your political views out loud. That's what they're telling you.
It's so weak. We're going to lead with it. It's where we start today with some of our favorite reporters and friends. Errol Southers is here, Director of Homegrown Violent Extremism Studies at the University of Southern California. Also joining us, Miles Taylor, former Chief of Staff at the Department of Homeland Security, the co-founder and executive director of the Renew America movement. Carl Cameron is here. He's the co-founder of Front Page Live and the former chief political correspondent for Fox News. He and I have spent many miles on the campaign trail together over the years. It's great to see you. And here at the table with me, Donny Deutsch, host of the podcast On Brand. Carl Cameron, I want to start with you. And I want to ask you what goes on. I mean, obviously, a mass shooter is responsible for the violence and the heinous acts that the mass shooter committed. It is also true that the ideology left in the mass shooter's screed mirrors the ideology championed by Tucker Carlson. What happens at Fox News when something like this happens?
I can't even imagine. It's partly why I ended up getting out of there.
Yeah.
It really is kind of horrible to think that journalists with national and international capacity are putting together this type of nonsense. I think the president did a great job. I wish he had done a lot of this a lot sooner, and we need a lot more from the left and the middle. And we got to watch out, because the Republicans have become the purveyors of misinformation. And when our two-party system is broken like that, democracy is seriously in trouble. The president acknowledged that. It's time to actually start doing things and maybe taking some names and putting people in jail.
I mean, wow, Carl, let me follow up with you. I mean, what you, I think, just touched on, maybe inadvertently, is that where the mainstream of America is frankly where President Biden was today, saying that white supremacy is poison on our body politic. Explain then how Tucker Carlson has so many viewers, because he's not in the mainstream of the body politic. I mean, what he espouses is the fringe of the fringe.
I really can't channel how Tucker believes in any of this stuff and how the network can go through with it. I will say this, however, it is very clear that this type of lying and deception is catching on. There's racism across the borders. Immigrants are being beaten up and being harassed more than ever. Judaism is constantly under fire. And all of this is being essentially accepted by a far, far right community of people who have nothing but grievance based on lies. How a network, and it's not just Fox, social media in general is the biggest purveyor of all of this. And there's a couple of things about this that are really important. A lot of the immigrants who are coming over here use WhatsApp instead of watching television or using other platforms. And if their aunt gets a piece of garbage and passes it on to the nephew, a lot of those immigrants are coming to the United States thinking that Trumpism and the kind of nonsense that comes from Fox News is an actual reality here. And again, it goes to all types of racism and hate, not just Democrat versus Republican or black versus white. Asians, Latinos, all of them are being bombarded with this type of disinformation.
Yeah,